Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. Winter storms plow through central and eastern U.S. More extreme weather conditions on the forecast, which could include whiteouts, blizzards, and even tornadoes. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is recovering after spending days hospitalized. Why weren't top U.S. officials notified of his absence? The man who attacked a judge in Las Vegas returns to the courthouse for a hearing. More on his sentencing and crime. First up, a winter storm has arrived in the U.S., moving from the west to the east. This week, people can expect inches of snow, violent winds, blizzards, and even tornadoes.
A highly impactful winter storm is expected to dump as much as a foot of snow across the country's midsection, where blizzard and winter storm warnings are in effect. According to the National Weather Service, between January 7th to 11th, the storm can bring 8 to 12 inches of snow stretching from southeastern Colorado and western Kansas through eastern Nebraska, large parts of Iowa, northern Missouri, and northwestern Illinois, up toward the upper peninsula of Michigan. Other parts of the Midwest could see winds between 60 to 70 miles per hour, creating blizzards with whiteouts. There were widespread school closures across eastern Nebraska on Monday, ahead of the storm. The harsh weather has already affected presidential campaigning for Iowa's January 15th precinct caucuses, where temperatures could dip below 0 degrees by caucus day next week. In South Dakota, the Sioux Falls mayor urged residents not to travel Monday if they did not have to, and to give snowplows time and patience so they can clear the roads. In the southeast, wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour and strong tornadoes are the primary threats to states along Texas and the Gulf Coast. The risk will continue through Tuesday. The storm follows a separate storm that moved off the East Coast after dumping over a foot of snow Sunday on parts of Pennsylvania, New York State, and portions of New England. And another storm is on the way that will affect the Pacific Northwest into the northern Rockies. Washington and Oregon could see blizzard conditions and several feet of snow. A flood watch is in effect for the state of Hawaii through Tuesday, as the threat of heavy rainfall and thunderstorms moves through from west to east.
And now let's take a look at other top headlines. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says he's recovering after being in intensive care last week. Unnamed defense and Biden administration officials say top leaders weren't told about his condition for days. That allegedly includes President Biden, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and Austin's Deputy of Defense. Pentagon spokesperson Pat Ryder says Austin was sent into intensive care on Monday, New Year's Day, after experiencing severe pain, but is now recovering well and resumed full duties Friday evening from his hospital bed. Ryder says the National Security Council and the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Kathleen Hicks, weren't told until 3 days later on Thursday. The spokesman stated Austin's chief of staff was ill and unable to make notifications before then. Temporary transfers of authority without an explanation are not unheard of, but the lack of transparency is raising some concerns in Congress. Senator Roger Wicker, the top-ranking GOP member on the Senate Armed Services Committee, wished Austin a speedy recovery, but says the delay was unacceptable. Wicker accuses the Defense Department of deliberately withholding information about Austin's health for days, calling it a shocking defiance of the law. The reported lapse in communication comes amid high tensions in the Middle East. Iran-backed terror groups have been lashing out against U.S. bases and troops, provoking strikes from the U.S. in Iraq and Syria. Austin is 70 years old and served 41 years in the military, retiring as a 4-star Army general. He's just under the president in the chain of military command. He is required to be ready at a moment's notice to react to any type of national security crisis, including a nuclear attack. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced today a special election for former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's congressional seat. Set for March 19th, voters in California's 20th congressional district will vote for a candidate to serve the remaining few months of McCarthy's House term. Several state and local GOP officials are already vying for the seat. Those include Assemblyman Vince Vaughn, former congressional candidate David Giglio, and Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau. McCarthy resigned from Congress last month after he was ousted as House Speaker. Hunter Biden will be the focus of two committees when the House returns to full session this week. The Judiciary and Oversight Committees are set to move forward with a formal contempt of Congress resolution for the president's son. The move stems from the younger Biden ignoring a subpoena to testify behind closed doors. While he did offer to testify before Congress publicly, that offer was rejected by Oversight Committee Chair James Comer and Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan. Comer and Jordan say they have, quote, significant evidence suggesting President Biden knew of, participated in, and benefited from his family cashing in on the Biden name. Hunter Biden's attorney said, quote, it's clear the Republican chairman isn't interested in getting the facts or they would allow Hunter to testify publicly. The lawmakers have expressed a willingness for a public testimony after a private one, which they say is a standard procedure. The hearing over contempt charges is planned for Wednesday, a day before Hunter Biden is scheduled to make his first court appearance on tax charges. The missing part of the Alaska Airlines aircraft that blew off mid-flight was found in a backyard in Portland. A local teacher found the missing fuselage plug for the door in his backyard. Elsewhere in the city, another person found an iPhone fully intact and functioning. It was the second phone recovered and has since been handed over to the National Transportation Safety Board. This incident led to the nationwide grounding of specific Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft and numerous flight cancellations. 177 passengers and crew on Alaska Airlines flight survived the alarming experience after a section of the plane blew off the aircraft mid-flight. The plane had just taken off 6 minutes before the incident. The Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet safely returned to the Portland airport. Although there were some minor injuries, National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Hamady said it could have been much worse.
We are very, very fortunate here that this didn't end up in something more tragic. No one was seated in 26A and B, where that door plug is.
Hours after the incident, the FAA ordered the grounding of all MAX 9s until they could be inspected. Alaska and United Airlines are the only U.S. airlines flying the MAX 9. Alaska Airlines said it canceled 170 flights yesterday and 60 more today. Cancellations will continue through the first half of the week. The Sunday cancellation affected nearly 25,000 guests. Newly released emails are shedding more light on the relationship between Dr. Anthony Fauci and the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. The emails show that scientists working at the Wuhan lab visited Fauci's agency at the National Institute of Health, or NIH, in 2017. This happened just a few months before the NIH lifted a pause on high-risk virology research. The emails were obtained by the nonprofit research group U.S. Right to Know through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the NIH. The emails show that Shizhen Li, who is a senior scientist at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, visited the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in June 2017. She researches SARS-like coronaviruses of bat origin and directs the Center for Emerging Infectious Diseases at the Wuhan lab. And in more China news, NTD's China in Focus has the latest on, is it getting easier for Chinese nationals to enter the U.S.? The Biden administration cut down the vetting process for Chinese immigrants coming in through the southern border. That's as the border is seeing a spike in illegal crossings. A U.S. Navy sailor was sentenced to 27 months in prison today. He was convicted for transmitting sensitive U.S. military information to a Chinese intelligence officer. 26-year-old Petty Officer Thomas Zhao also faces a $5,500 fine. According to court documents, Zhao sent information to a Chinese intelligence officer posing as a maritime economic researcher. He took screenshots of operational orders of military training exercises and passed them to an intelligence officer. He also transmitted photos of blueprints and diagrams of a U.S. radar system. Zhao admitted to engaging in a corrupt scheme and pleaded guilty to federal charges back in October 2023. He worked at a Ventura County Naval Base in Port Hueneme, California. A man who was captured on camera assaulting a Las Vegas judge last week has now appeared before her to receive his sentencing. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the update.
Deobra Redden, who previously leaped over a bench and assaulted Clark County District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus in her courtroom last week, appeared before her Monday. Judge Holthus ordered 30-year-old Redden to appear in court by any and all means necessary for the interrupted sentencing hearing's continuance. Both the judge and a deputy marshal were reportedly injured in the attack. Redden, who appeared in the courtroom wearing a mask and surrounded by court marshals, received 19 to 48 months in prison for a baseball bat attack on a person that occurred last year. Redden is due back in court Tuesday for a status check regarding the new charges stemming from the attack on the judge, including 7 counts of battery. Christina Corona, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A California city starts the new year with a surge of homicides. How bad is it getting? And see what could be contributing to the ongoing problems. Shen Yun Performing Arts wraps up its San Francisco shows. One patron describes the show's art form as very powerful. The NFL regular season comes to a close. We'll take a closer look at some top headlines as teams head to the playoffs. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. Oakland, California has already seen a series of violent crimes in the first week of 2024. 2 officials in the city are facing recall efforts that cite public safety as a primary reason. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
Since the new year, the city of Oakland has seen 4 homicides, with 3 of them happening over the weekend. Almost a year ago, the police chief was fired by the mayor and has not been replaced yet. NTD spoke with Alameda County Supervisor candidate Chris Moore about the city's crime issues, which many are saying are just getting worse. Here's what he had to say.
Stolen vehicles, it was in the range of almost 15,000 stolen vehicles. They say 1 stolen vehicle for every 30 people that lives in the city. That's up 45% from the prior year. Robbery with a firearm is up also around 49%. So if you think about that, like stores being robbed with firearms, right? So these are violent crimes that are happening in the city of Oakland. The district attorney, Pam Price, she issued a directive back in April of 2023. That directive essentially made it, a robbery, whether you do it by strong arm or whether you use a weapon, a firearm in that robbery, there's no difference.
Moore said that the policy has led to an uptick of people coming into the city to commit armed robberies since there's no enhancement charge for using a firearm. Oakland's district attorney and mayor are both facing recall efforts. Jason Blair, NTD News.
Los Angeles may be known for its picturesque beaches, pleasant weather, and its entertainment scene. However, its reputation has been tainted by crime. NTD's Christina Corona highlights some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in LA.
The Los Angeles Police Department reported a decrease in crime last year, yet Property Club ranked the top 10 most dangerous neighborhoods in the city as downtown Los Angeles, West Adams, Whole District, Skid Row, Hollywood, South Los Angeles, Compton, Watts, Koreatown, Fashion District, and North Hollywood. Downtown LA was ranked number 1, where the local crime rate surpasses the national average by 530%, affecting residents with challenges such as the homeless crisis, pickpocketing, and robberies. The Wholesale District, also known as Skid Row, has one of the nation's largest homeless encampments, earning an F safety rating, with the crime occurring every 2 hours and 5 minutes on average. Despite Hollywood's central location and tourist appeal, it has a total crime rate 147% higher than the national average. Many inner cities such as South LA, Compton, Watts, and Koreatown have a reputation for gun violence, drug and gang activity, and prostitution. However, a handful of Southern California cities ranked among the safest in the nation, while Orange County stands out as the safest large county in California. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Shen Yun, the world's premier classical Chinese dance company, is bringing to life a lost culture through art. Here's a look at what theatergoers have said about the show's art form.
Shen Yun Performing Arts took the stage at the San Francisco Opera House this past weekend. Locals share their experiences.
It's amazing as a part of the performance of the dancer. Very well done, choreography, their performance, the way they dance, the way they organize it is very well done and a very high value show.
We were very, very impressed with the breadth of scope, everything from modern day stories to ones from thousands of years ago to ones from rural China. So we thought it was all very imaginative.
Shen Yun portrays China before communism. The New York-based company's mission is to revive genuine traditional culture through music and dance.
It was just a wonderful cultural display of China's greatness before, unfortunately, the dark ages of communism. We were just thrilled to see such a fantastic display of artistry, coordination, balance, and storytelling.
It's something that can capture the audience, and it can really make it so we are part of a story, we're a part of an adventure, but we are also part of an emotional history that cannot be erased by a regime or by a peoples. It's very, very powerful.
Many say it's more than just a performance.
Very happy that Shen Yun has so many performances around the world to share that message of hope.
I think the name of the show, I think that what it was divine and movement, and there was a huge message of hope.
NTD News, California.
As the NFL regular season comes to a close, we're left with a whirlwind of headlines that are shaping the narrative heading into the playoffs. To help us make sense of it all, NTD's Carlos Reyes is here to break down those major headlines and offer his insights. Hey Carlos, the news about Bill Belichick potentially parting ways with the Patriots is quite surprising. What are your thoughts on the situation, and where do you see Belichick landing next?
Well, David, it truly might be the end of an era in New England. Bill Belichick's impact on the Patriots and the NFL as a whole cannot be overstated, in my opinion. Now, the Patriots' disappointing season-ending loss to the Jets in snowy conditions was a tough pill to swallow for fans. The team seemed out of sync, and it might have marked the end of Belichick's legendary run. Now, whether he leaves or is pushed, the situation's a bit unclear at the moment. Belichick's meeting with Patriots owner Robert Kraft this week will shed light on the direction that they're heading. As for his next landing spot, David, there's plenty of interest from several teams. Washington Commanders' new owner Josh Harris is reportedly enamored with the idea of having Bill Belichick on board. As for the Carolina Panthers, they've showed interest before, and they might inquire again for his services. It's a waiting game, but wherever Belichick goes, you can expect a significant shift in dynamics of that team.
Sure, let's talk about the Eagles here. Their recent struggles have left a lot of their fans scratching their heads. What's behind their surprising collapse? And do you think that Coach Nick Sirianni's job could be potentially at risk here?
Yeah, David, the Eagles' recent struggles can be traced back to a combination of issues. Hurts' performance has dipped, the defense isn't as sturdy as before, and injuries are taking a toll. The loss to the Giants especially was a wake-up call. Sirianni's job might be on the line depending on how they perform in the playoffs. Starting strong at 10-1 and now facing the possibility of an early round exit. Yikes, that's a major turnaround that immediately affects both his fan base and the organization from the ground up. The upcoming game against the Buccaneers is pivotal for Sirianni to prove he can steer the ship in rough waters.
Sure, let's talk about the Houston Texans a little bit here. They have defied expectations by clinching a playoff spot with a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. Now, could you tell us a little bit how significant this achievement is? And what does it say about the future of the Texans?
Well, David, this is all around an amazing accomplishment for the Texans, becoming only the 5th team in NFL history to make the playoffs with both a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. C.J. Stroud's performance with over 4,000 yards this season in his rookie year is particularly noteworthy in my opinion. The Texans' decision to go with rookie head coach DeMeco Ryans is paying off tremendously, turning the franchise around faster than anyone anticipated. After years of struggle, the Texans suddenly have a bright future, and their playoff berth is a testament to the impact of Stroud and Ryans.
Well, this sure sounds like a Cinderella story for the Texans, and it would be exciting to see how far they can go in the playoffs. Well, thank you so much for your insights, Carlos.
No problem, David. It's always my pleasure.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.